Whilst the hype for Modern Warfare 2's campaign and multiplayer is rapidly building, I'm starting to hear some concerns surfacing around the mode that's following it just a few months later. And that, of course, is being the sequel to everyone's favourite battle royale at the moment, Warzone 2. And though I understand some of the worries around its release and some of the later updates on Warzone 1 have been less than stellar, let's take a look at why Warzone 2 will definitely be better than its lockdown-born predecessor. First of all, and I have mentioned this before, it's a fresh start, and you cannot underestimate how important this is for the player base. There's no more bloat anymore, it's going to be a load more accessible. Now, we're only focusing on one game instead of three, which were, Modern Warfare 2019, Black Ops, and Vanguard. It's only going to be based on the Modern Warfare 2 now, as we all know. This is going to be a lot better for anyone that's just jumping back in. I know a lot of people dropped off once Black Ops or Vanguard was introduced. I was one of those people. Once Vanguard was introduced, my interest kind of started to wane a little bit on Warzone in general, as I didn't care to play Vanguard too much, and I started missing out on the metas and the weapons and things like that, and I'd imagine that's what happened with a lot of people too. So just focusing on just the one new game that's coming out, it's going to be a lot easier for a lot more people to jump back in. Added to that, it's going to be a lot more streamlined in terms of the weapon metas, the gadgets, the perks to unlock as well. Everyone's going to be on the same page, and the unlock should actually work as well. I'm not sure if many people knew this, because obviously it only affected a small minority of players, but once you hit a certain cap of unlocks, they wouldn't actually transfer over to Warzone anymore. This affected mainly grinders and, well, camo grinders mainly. A lot of really popular YouTubers had this issue where they would unlock in-game items for Vanguard and Black Ops, like all the camos. By the time they go back to Warzone, they wouldn't be able to actually use them there. There was an actual cap within Warzone where you couldn't unlock any more items for that game mode. Now, this was patched out and they were able to actually use them eventually. It wasn't even that long ago that they managed to fix this because they didn't know what the issue was. But there's no way this is going to happen with this one, at least I hope not, since it's just the one game as well. Another thing you can't underestimate though is the excitement for something brand new. And for those people who say Call of Duty is the same every year, well, I will say back to you, yes, you're kind of right. But it doesn't stop it from being exciting, it doesn't stop it from being something rather refreshing as well, since they keep changing the era that you are actually playing the game in, so modern, back in the Cold War, and obviously World War II as well. So it actually has been a few years now since we've had a refresh on the Modern Warfare series, so that's why everyone's excited, and it's the most popular version of Call of Duty as well. I think without a doubt, this era is the most popular. And leaning into that even more, everyone's going to be learning this at the same time. It's that magical moment where everyone jumps into the game for the first time and is learning the mechanics together. So what weapons to use, what the meta is, what perks are the best to use, how you get your loadouts, what kind of missions there are actually in Warzone, what the vehicles are like, all of this lovely stuff we are yet to see. Obviously, I'm sure we'll see more soon, but when you jump straight into it for the first time, it is just that magical moment. I'm sure it'll be reminiscent the first time you dropped in Warzone back on Modern Warfare 2019 as well. The second big point I wanted to cover is that I feel that they've learned a lot with the first Warzone, and you can look at this pessimistically if you want and say, well, they learn a lot each year with the multiplayer and the base game, and they don't seem to fix a lot of the big issues. And yeah, I guess you're right, but they do learn and improve over the time. I mean, you just look 5 years ago to where Call of Duty was then, the dark times, as the fans call it, I suppose, and look where it is now. They've definitely learned a lot, they've taken feedback on, they've changed things around, and I want to stay optimistic, especially when it's something as important and as big to them as it is us, that is Warzone. It's a massive moneymaker for them. If you want to look at it in a kind of cynical point of view, this has to be good for them. As I keep mentioning, it's got to last for 2 years, and it's their biggest asset at the moment, so they don't want to mess this up. So any mistakes that they learn from, I feel that they are more than likely going to transfer them over to this new iteration of Warzone as well. And I want to view this optimistically also. We are no strangers to letdowns in the gaming community, but I do want this one to succeed. I have a good feeling that it will. And with this experience comes speed and accuracy with bug fixes. Yes, there's going to be bugs, regardless. There's going to be balance issues, regardless of what they try and do. And, they might even give us some time to plan it with the beta and everything, but there's always going to be broken things in every single game, especially Call of Duty. They've never been immune to it. At first, it was really difficult for the Warzone team to actually keep on top of this, especially when they started introducing different games. It took ages for them to fix metas, and I think it's actually going to be a lot more streamlined now than it was back then. And people will forget how difficult it was at times. times with Warzone because nostalgia tends to blur those kind of things, the issues that we did have. So regardless of how good they're going to be with Warzone 2, people are still going to be quite cynical and opinionated about this new version of it. Of course they are, but I still think it's going to be a lot easier for them to fix these issues, get back to the community, and make changes that we want as well because of this experience. And at this point, they have nailed the live service. I know it's a very controversial topic. I'm not a massive fan of live service. It has to be very, very good for me to go, yep, that's pretty good. And to be honest, with Modern Warfare 2019, the live service of that game was pretty good, especially in comparison to the games that have failed miserably doing so. I'm not going to name them here. We all know who we're talking about now. So if you compare the Call of Duty version of live service to other models of live service, you can't say they've been doing it wrong. And again, this experience is going to lend heavily into what they're going to do with Warzone 2. I genuinely feel if they keep going down this route, it's going to breed more success, and more success for them means more content for us, usually. And they know what works with their fans as well. They've tested a few things. They will test the water here and there as well. They will make mistakes. I'm not saying there won't be. They'll probably put a few things in there that are like, why have you changed that, or why have you done this? But hopefully they'll listen if there are mistakes to that, and they'll act quickly, because they have done that in the past as well. But they do have the experience to know what works with the fans and what they can and can't do. I mean, the one thing I'm kind of cautious about, I think I mentioned it in one of my last videos, is the vault weapons. You know, if they're going to be in the store for astronomical prices, people will kick up a fuss. I know it's optional and everything, but it's something they're introducing to the game to make money ultimately as well. So we'll just see how that goes. Obviously, that's just one example. There could be others. As I keep saying, I feel they're more prepared to deal with our demands and our expectations, and they know what our expectations are as a base level now, even more so with the experience from the first Warzone. And lastly, I just want to mention that they have confirmed some details that do already sound great. So there are some reasons already, even though with this limited knowledge we have around the mode, that already sound great, that we should be excited for. So Strongholds is a massive reason to be excited, I think. Huge compounds with AI, you can raid and earn rewards. This could go either way. People could either love it or hate it, but I think AI in the game would actually be beneficial. They have trialed this in previous iterations of Warzone, you know, with zombies and a few events as well that had AI in it. I really enjoyed it. I think the majority of people enjoyed it. Some people said it waters down the experience a little bit, and I understand that as well, because you want to be only against, you know, real life people. That's where you get the most gratification from, the most progression, the biggest hit of dopamine when you know, taking on real people. But having, you know, a few smaller battles in there for the more casual players, I think will do well, and it'll open the gates up for more people, and that's what we want. A bigger player base equals more fun. And the strongholds aren't going to be one-dimensional either. They will have different difficulties, different rewards to match that difficulty as well. And whether these are going to be worth it, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited to see what they'll have. Obviously, there's a bit of controversy around how we're going to get loadouts, but I think they squashed that recently, actually, saying that no, loadouts aren't going to be available just by doing these strongholds. There can be other methods as well, which is very, very good, because loadouts are the core of what makes Warzone great. Without the access to loadouts, it would just be quite generic, and it would lose its identity a little bit, I feel. Another thing to not be worried about is I don't think any of these changes will have a huge impact on the overall gameplay, but I just think it will give it enough to freshen it up, give you more options how to play, and options are always good. Give yourself a few more challenges, give you a bit more of a direction of what you want to do with this game. It's always a good thing to do. I don't think it's going to stop people playing that they want to play, or at least I hope not. You know, if you just want to go around hunting other players, you can still do that, but if you're more inclined to stay back, circle around the outside of the gas and do objectives and missions like the bounty missions and the other types of contracts, etc., then this is just going to be another thing that you can go and strive towards completing as well during a game. So I really don't think it's going to be all that different overall, just more options. And you never know what else they might add. We honestly don't know too much, but so far I think it looks great, as long as they keep the core of what made Warzone good, and then just add layers on top of that and fleshes out even more. And again, I feel like they're going to be pretty flexible with this. If there's something that we really don't like and we make them aware of it, they'll change it. They have done in the past, and again, the experience they have comes back into this. If they feel that the player base is unhappy and is dipping, they're going to make changes to get us back. So though we don't know too much about Warzone just yet, I think there's still a fair bit to be excited and optimistic about as well. Yes, it could all come crashing down. As I said, we're no strangers to that happening in the gaming industry. But if you can't get at least a little hype for this, then I don't know what to tell you. I really, really don't. But that's it. That's all I have to say, really. But I want to know what you think of this. Are you excited for Warzone 2? Do you think it'll hit the levels of hype it's leading up to? Or do you think it'll drop off pretty quickly? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Smash like for me and hit subscribe if you fancy sticking around. And until next time, cheers.